Is it time for the Browns to cross over, if you will, to that next level team?
On today's Odd Coaches podcast, Dr. Adams and Coach Francis preview the AFC North in advance of the 2021-2022 NFL season. Welcome to today's show. Dr. Keith Adams is the president of the CKA Save Project, a nonprofit organization designed to assist student athletes and the people who work with them through educational and professional development. He is a career academic and athletic leader with close to 30 years of experience on the high school and college levels. He has won numerous championships and epitomizes professionalism. Coach Mike Franchise Francis is one of the most successful football and basketball coaches in the state of Maryland. He too is a career academic and athletic leader with close to 30 years of experience on the high school and college level and is self-admittedly a little rough around the edges. Both men have mentored countless student athletes, teachers, and coaches using their unique methods and approaches to leadership. Both men also share a unique and special friendship that was cultivated often through their unique perspective of life and leadership. Dr. Adams through his extensive educational background and Coach Francis through his life experiences. Can these two men share a podcast without driving each other crazy? Welcome to the Odd Coaches podcast.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches podcast. My name is Dr. Keith Adams and I am the founder and president of the CKA Save Project, a nonprofit organization designed to assist student athletes and the people who work with them through educational and professional development. And with me today is my tag team partner, my Iron Sheik to my Nikolai Volkov, Coach Mike Francis and Franchise. How the heck are you this fine day, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you. I'm laughing at that Iron Sheik. I got visions of my son with those things in his
Yes, the Persian clubs, man. And Nikolai Volkov was one of my favorites. And actually, he lived in like Towson for a lot of years. And I used to see him at the Maryland Championship Wrestling shows. And he was always just a kind guy. So shout out to the late, great Nikolai Volkov. And Sheiky Baby is still Sheiky Baby. Follow him on Twitter at your own risk. And don't read his tweets at work.
This guy, you know what I'm saying? You keep the feud going. That's the Sheik.
Well, today we will continue our NFL preview of the 2021-2022 season with a preview of the AFC North. And in the first segment, we will talk about Cleveland and Baltimore. The second segment, we'll talk about Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. And in our final segment, we will do our predictions based on our unofficial friend at Athlon Sports. No formal endorsement yet. And any selections that we bring up to you will be strictly for entertainment purposes. Totally. So let's talk about Cleveland, my friend. Is it time? Is it time? You're going to tell me, Coach, is it time for the Browns to cross over, if you will, to that next level team? What do you think, sir?
I'm thinking that they're there. I'm thinking this is the year. I'm thinking the progress. You've seen it. I was really happy about what they did starting back 3 years ago. I remember in the first preseason game they played, my son was with the Giants at the time. And I just liked everything they were doing. And each year they make moves. Coach Stefanski is doing his thing. I think they're going to make the move this year and be right there with Baltimore.
Well, I've got to tell you, and I could be wrong, and that's why I have you with me. I am just not sold on Baker when it comes to expectations. When he's coming from behind at Oklahoma, or he has all of the resources and weapons, man, he's a good quarterback. When he's trying to find his way and can blame the coordinators and whatever, he's a good quarterback. Expectations are something. And you're going into this year. And I forgot the line, but he said, I woke up feeling electric today or something. Mm-hmm. Man, the smartest people in any industry are defensive coordinators. And now they've got 3 years worth of tape on this guy. So again, I'm not saying, but I'm saying.
I think Baker's going to be okay. I honestly do.
All right. So now that takes us to Baltimore, baby. Baltimore, is Jackson good enough? That's the question, Coach. Is Lamar Jackson good enough? Talk to me, sir.
By himself, no. He's not good enough by himself. Again, he needs a great running game to help him. And of course, it's time that he get receivers that can help him. I think that Andrews getting hurt this week. That's not a good thing for him. But he needs great tight end play. He's dynamic. It's some guys, you can't hit what you can't catch. You know that old saying, can't hit what you can't catch. He's so elusive. He makes you you have to game plan for him, which opens up the offense. So I know they had some injuries last year in the line, so they had issues protecting him. But I see them in Cleveland competing for a division championship.
Well, Coach, you said they need a running game. I thought he was the running game. And that is what causes me pause with them, because I have paid a little bit more attention to Baltimore the last few years for obvious reasons. And in the postseason, man, I just don't see it. So, yeah, will they win 11 games or whatever? Sure. But when you get to the postseason and they bottle that run up, man, that's tough. Any last thoughts about Cleveland or Baltimore before we close this segment, sir?
Both things you talked about. You said, Baker, about expectations, and same thing. You also alluded to the same, talking about in the playoffs when they bottle that up. It's what you can do when everybody know what you have to do is an important thing. So whichever quarterback pulls it off will win the division. But I think that I give Baltimore the slight advantage, probably because defensively over the two, but they're definitely going to compete for that title.
All right, and we'll be right back after this short break.
The vision of the CKA SAVE project is to use the combination of academics and athletics as a catalyst to lifelong success. Thus, the CKA SAVE project works to improve student-athlete academic and athletic performance by assisting student-athletes with transitional and transferable skills such as time management and organizational skills, along with the ability to self-advocate to help improve performance. However, we cannot do our work without the help of supporters like you. Consider donating to the CKA SAVE project. We accept tax-deductible contributions in a number of ways, including Venmo and Cash App at CKA SAVE project, or directly at the main page of our website, www.ckasaveproject.org. Simply click the donate button. We thank you in advance for your continued support.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. And this episode, we are previewing the AFC North. And in this segment, we are going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. And Coach, in terms of Pittsburgh, I like to say they did it to themselves. I don't know what we're going to see this year, but I don't want anybody from Pittsburgh crying the blues or singing some sad song, because they did it to themselves. Talk to me, Coach, about the black and gold.
Continuously do it to themselves. Traditionally, the good program, the way they do things, I think they may have held on a little too long. Some things, they pushed some guys away. Maybe they shouldn't. They could have handled some things differently, in my opinion. Ben Roethlisberger, 2-3 years ago, he could barely move. I'm not sure if they made, the right picks and selections and moves to move that program along. I do admire the head coach. I think he does a lot. I think I will say ownership sticking with him was one of the most biggest. We won't find that in sports anywhere. Or maybe San Antonio Spurs. That's maybe the only other organization we see that stays with a coach like that through all the good and the bad as well as the good. But I think they held on to a couple pieces too long, and they pushed away some good talent, very good talent.
Well, I love Coach Tomlin. I will not hide that. I am a big fan. I liked the fact that they did pick up Dwayne Haskins. I am an educator, first and foremost, and sometimes it doesn't work out at the first stop. And when you have some humble pie, It tends to increase your focus. It's amazing the recuperative powers of the bench. The bench has magic, mystical powers. So I do like Pittsburgh. However, the quarterback situation is of their doing. And again, they're going to be in the mix. It's going to be tough, but man, they did it to themselves, which leads us to the Cincinnati Bengals. And Coach, what can Joe do for you? Tell me about your thoughts on the Bengals.
I think they're just behind as far as Cleveland and making moves. I think they could be better, but I don't know if they're snake bitten or what, but it just seems that they always toward the end of the season flail for some reason. I don't know why. Like they just fizz out. That makes sense. They fizz out.
Well, they got new uniforms, so that's going to help them stay focused again.
Okay, but them uniforms don't score points. I keep telling you.
Which is why we laugh at Oregon, because you got 1,000 uniforms and can't play a lick of football.
Ain't won one national championship, but you can show me 37 different uniform combinations. Come on, man. What we doing here? What we doing? But nah, seriously though, I think the Bengals will probably the worst team. They'll finish last in that division if you ask me, because Cleveland coming up with Baltimore. Pittsburgh and Baltimore always traditionally, like this is the toughest, to me, most physical conference in football. You can't, I mean, the injuries are definitely big as far as this conference is concerned. And I think that Joe, he might take a step or two, and but they still won't come to the top two of this league at all.
Well, you know, on my end, and when we talk Cincinnati, we got to talk Joe Burrow. We talked the quarterback, and I found out a little nugget of information that caused me pause. Joe Burrow is older than Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold's going into like his 4th year in the league.
Yeah,
and I was like, what? Are you serious? So it's something like that, but I like the kid. I think he's local to that area or that state, but I don't think they're any good. And you won't hear a lot of anything with Cleveland with our weekly picks, strictly for entertainment purposes only.
Yes, don't do that. Don't forget.
And with that, since it's Cincinnati,
One thing.
Go ahead, buddy.
I got to follow up. I mean, I know it might extend it a little bit, but you talking about Happy Hour Haskins?
That's
the one
what, man.
Was that the one that went up?
Man, he has played well this preseason. Coach Tomlin and those guys have surrounded him with a little more structure.
Ain't no strip clubs in Pittsburgh.
I'm not touching that. And I think he's on a 1-year deal.
Okay.
So, and I'm not a fan of the Mason guy. I thought that guy, cried wolf during that incident with Myles Garrett. He did a little Eddie Haskell is what I like to call it. Picked the fight, and then when somebody said something, held his arms up. So, put him in I hope he gets introduced to a linebacker on a blitz one day. But
nice. The last thing you talked about,
yes,
that bench you talked about. I used to tell my players that blood flows differently when you to your brain when your ass is on the bench. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like it circulates better once you sat down for a while.
Well, not to extend it, but we used to call it the Adams flu. And I don't have to tell people why you're not playing because everybody else knows. But there's been a few major players who's had the 24-hour sniffles, and they have done well after the Adams flu. I don't know if you can give out the Adams flu in these changing high school times, but that's another episode for another day, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA SAVE Project, is releasing a book this fall called Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. The goal of this book is to give greater insight into student-athlete motivation to improve student-athlete academic and athletic success through the lens of Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic journey, from being an underperforming student-athlete to an academic and athletic leader. This book is also designed to be a guide for student athletes, parents, teachers, coaches, administrators, and anyone else who has a passion to help student athletes succeed academically and athletically. You can pre-order your copy of the book directly from our website at www.ckasaveproject.org. This book is scheduled for release in the fall of 2021.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. And as we continue our previewing of the AFC North, we're going to go with predictions. And these predictions are based off Athlon Sports. And we'll see if Coach Francis agrees with them. Number 1, Cleveland. Number 2, Baltimore. Number 3, Pittsburgh. And number 4, Cincinnati. Coach Franchise, what do you think, sir?
You flop 1 and 2, Baltimore, then Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. I think Baltimore wins the division this year. I think defensively they're better than anybody in that division.
Well, we have Cleveland and Baltimore as the playoff teams, which means Pittsburgh's not going to be in the playoffs based on our preseason predictions. And Cincinnati is a non-entity, but I think they may steal a win or two because this division in particular, there's always such familiarity that I can see Cincinnati upsetting somebody and just really screwing up. That 17th game is going to cause a lot of problems. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that 17th game going to give some people some, we used to call them the Marvin Hagler face, because it's going to tear them apart, man, not knowing, like, you got to get that last weekend for the playoffs. You know how tough it is, people trying to rest people. Cincinnati could be one of them spoilers, man. They could be.
And Hagler beat Sugar Ray. Anyway. Don't get me started, man. You can't fight 10 seconds of a round and then win the whole fight. Don't start with me.
Stop it. Stop. That's another episode.
Watch the fight. I am actually gonna go against this. Everybody keeps talking about Baker. I have pauses about Baker, and I don't think Baker's very good. So what happens in the gambling world is whatever you think, do the opposite, follow the line. And I'm going to say, okay, Cleveland first, Baltimore second, and Pittsburgh, man, I really wish they could play better because I have so many Steeler fans in my social circle, but I just don't think they have it. So I am actually going to back Baker. I don't know why. And the Jackson kid causes me pause in the postseason. So I'm like, okay, if I don't think they're going to win in the playoffs, why am I going to go with them during the regular season? What are you thinking, man?
I was watching Sportsbook Confidential a little bit because, you know, we was talking about that entertainment purposes only. You got me, you know, gave me the bug. I'm doing a little homework here and there. They had Baltimore last in the division.
Wow, that I did not know.
Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore is last.
With that said, we're going to wrap up this episode. Good luck to all of the teams in the AFC North. Yes. And please listen to our other preview episodes of the Odd Coaches Podcast.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. You can follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.